Crayleigh. So we are going to go over some beginner movements. One of the first ones we'll go over is your hand movement. So you always want to have pretty flowy hands, and one way to get that, you're going to take your hands, try to keep your thumb kind of tucked so you're always looking pretty, and you're going to act like you're cleaning the inside of a jar. You're taking a rag or whatever and you're swiping around on the inside of that jar. And then as you come around, your fingers kind of bend softly and you go again. So keep that in mind as you're practicing, cleaning the inside of the jar. And then once you get that movement down, then you can gradually start to move with your hands and keeping it very pretty. You can go down, you can go up, you can have one up, and you can gently frame your body as you go down. You can do the other side, keeping your hands very pretty. And again, you just very softly. So make sure and practice those beautiful hands. And then another movement that you can do is, you know how you see it and going across your face like this? So what you're doing, you're just going inch by inch, knuckle by knuckle, very gently. And if you have to start, to practice, kind of remember, tuck that thumb in a little bit and curve your hands, right like that. Start and gently open those fingers, knuckle by knuckle. And at first, you can make them kind of stiff so you can get the feeling of that knuckle by knuckle feeling. And then after you start to get that a little better, you can make them softer. Like I said, you can go across your face. You can go just across your body. Or you can just go up and down. But it's just a gentle wave with your fingers. And another movement that is a beginner movement, some of the basic things that you learn when you start belly dancing, is your hip drop. So basically what you're going to do, you're going to be on the ball of one foot and flat-footed on the other. And the one that's on the ball is slightly bent. And another thing you want to make sure that you remember, keep the flat-footed leg soft. The reason you do that is because if it's straight and stiff, you don't have anywhere to go. You don't get as much movement. If you soften that leg, then you can get more movement and more drop. And so what we're doing is we're taking this hip and pulling it up under the rib cage and then drop. And pull it up under the rib cage and drop. And what you're doing up here, and then you snap it down. And what you do, just to get that snap, you're tightening this other butt cheek. So as this comes up, and then when you get ready to bring it down, tighten this butt cheek. And it makes it snap. So you can do soft hip drops. But sometimes you want an accent. So you have it up, snap it down. And you see, it's a lot sharper. And the same with the other leg. You have your left foot is flat on the floor. Your right foot's on the ball. Remember, your left leg, keep it soft. Now, we're going to pull up the right hip under your rib cage and then drop it down. And you can start softly so you can get the feeling of that movement. And then when you get used to that, you can actually try to snap it more. And again, keep that other leg soft. And then when you snap it down, remember that other butt cheek is what's tightening. That's what gives it that pop. And that is one of the core movements of belly dance. So make sure that you get that. Another movement is the umi. The umi is all centered right in here. Your feet are flat on the floor and your knees are soft. And again, you gotta have those knees soft because you won't have anywhere to move if you don't. And what you're gonna do, your hips, you're gonna go forward, side, back, side, forward. And keep doing that until you kind of get used to that feeling. And then soften it out. And as you notice, your legs, your knees, one is bending and then straightening a little bit, and then the other. I don't know. See if you can see. So make sure flat-footed. We're going to bend down a little. We're going to start in the front, and we're going to the right. And you see how my knees, they're going forward and back. That helps you get the movement. Okay? And all the movement is centered right in here. And that way, while this is doing this, as you learn, you'll be able to start layering. So you might be able to do, your arms. You can have your arms up here. You can frame yourself. Okay? And you always want to go in opposite direction. Don't forget the other side of your body. We always have one that works better than the other. And we usually tend to do that one more and ignore the other. So we're going to go to the other way. So front, side, back, side. Front, side, back, side. And then keep going and then soften it out. And now you're going the other way. And remember, keep your knees soft. There you go. And that's your umi. And with umis, you can, like I said, you can go in one direction and then you can go in the other direction. You can circle with an umi. You start your umi and then you're just gently, every time you take a little step, you're turning. Gently turning. But first, get used to doing the umi first. And then, if you're able to master that, then you can try to do the gentle turning. We also do hip slides and hip pushes. So a hip slide, very simple. Your feet are going to be about shoulder width apart. Your hands can be here. And remember, keep those hands soft and pretty. And what you're going to do, you're going to lean to one side. So both legs are straight. You're not bending this time. That way, that gives you that really push out look there. And then you're going to take your hips and you're going to slide them to the other side. And back and forth. Make sure, try to keep this quiet. Not a lot of movement up there. Everything is happening from here down. And you can turn your hands. You can make it very pretty. You can come up here and down and up. And you can always turn your head. Or, like I said, you can just do your hands, whatever you get used to at first. So, very simple hip slide. Just remember to keep all the movement here. Okay? Now we're going to do the hip push. So, it's sort of like the hip slide, except this time we're going to push those hips out. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So all you're doing is pushing that hip to the side. And my legs, they're soft. And so what I'm doing, the hip that I'm going to push out is the one that leg is kind of bending and straightening quite a bit. 1, 2, and then you lock it. 1, 2, and you lock it. 1, 2. Lock that leg. When I do that, the leg that the weight is on is straight and locked. And then the other one is soft. It's just slightly bent. And that way, when you get ready to go the other way, it's ready. And then that one is going to push, push. And then that leg tightens and straightens. And then the other leg is bent and soft. So that gets you ready for the other push. And you'll really feel this one if you tighten in your core and focus on just the movement being down in here. And again, to get that pop, you straighten that leg and you also tighten that same butt cheek that's pushing out. So that's opposite of what we learned earlier in the hip drop. In the hip drop, to get that snap, your opposite butt cheek is what was tightening to help get the snap. On this one, the weight is on the leg that the hip is pushing out. And so that's the one, when you go to do that second, say if you're doing a 2, because you can do a 1. And when you tighten that butt cheek, it's going that direction, that gives you the pop, gives you the accent. So you can do 1, and you can practice that. And then when you get really good at that, you can get the 2. And the first one is just a tiny bit smaller than the second. The first pop is just a pop. The second one is, wow, a pop. So just practice those. Okay, so to reiterate what we just went over, we started with the pretty hands, and cleaning the inside of the jar, and then we also did the other hands which are like this, and we're moving our fingers gently. You got to get used to moving the different joints. You got to go joint by joint, joint by joint, and then as you get more used to it, they'll get prettier. So we had our hands, then we had our arms, we had our snake arms. And remember, lead with the shoulder and the elbow, and then the rest of it follows. And once you come up, pretty down, up and pretty down. And then we had our hip drops, which remember, we had one leg that was straight, the other leg bent, and then after we get set up, we're going to gently bend the leg that the weight is on. And remember, we're going to pull up and snap it down, up, snap it down. And then you can do the other side. We had our umis. And when you do your umis, your hands can be here, they can be here. A lot of times we frame our bodies in the dance. It just makes it so much prettier because you're saying, okay, the movement's here. Look at my hips. This is where the movement is. And you can do your hands, or you can just have your hands pretty. So we had our umis, and then we had our hip slides, which are just gentle, one side to the other. Remember, you can have your pretty hands. And then if you want to add a little more, you can bring them up and down, and up and down. And then we had our hip pushes, which 1, 2, snap, 1, 2, snap, snap, snap. And another thing you want to think of when you're doing your arms, especially when you're here, and when you're here, you always want to try to keep your shoulders pressed down. I had much trouble with this when I started dancing because I have a tight neck and shoulders, and it always felt like I was dancing like this, and sometimes I was, and I didn't even realize it. So when you get in position, press your shoulders down, back and down. You see how pretty that is? Rather than, so you want to have them pushed down and back, and that way when either your hands are here, or they're here, or they're here, then you don't have shoulders for earrings. So I hope you have enjoyed this little practice session, and I look forward to having some more, teaching you some more different movements and just helping you to further your dance, but most of all, just to have fun. I love the dance, and I hope you're enjoying it so far, and I thank you for watching.